So hello everyone, welcome to yet another live with THiNC Institute of Design. I guess all of you have been eagerly waiting for the B.Arch entrance exam, JEE B.Arch entrance exam session 1 that's going to happen day after tomorrow. That is on the 30th of January. That will be your first session. You'll obviously have another session in the month of April. So in this year itself. So all the students, even at THiNC, all of you at THiNC, all the weekend batch students, all the crash batch students, all the repeaters batch students, everyone has been eagerly waiting. And I think all of you have been desperately preparing also for this exam, right? So we have come here with THiNC Institute to provide you the very important last minute tips that's required, very important 5 last minutes tips that's required for you to ensure that you don't mess up that very important day. Okay. Hello, Nanda. So I've got some messages in the live chat box already. So if there are any questions that you have, please do not forget to shoot it in the live chat box. Or we are also available at Instagram. You can also DM us. Okay. So without delay in any of the times, let me just move on to what we'll be covering in this particular live. We'll be covering 5 things. One is what to carry. I'll also give you things that you should not carry. Uh, Please don't carry that. Second thing is the exam pattern. I think most of you are already aware. Just in case in the last minute you guys still have doubts, I've seen some of the students walking into the examination hall without having a doubt about whether it's a CBT exam or it's a pen and paper exam. So don't do stuff like that. Be absolutely prepared. We'll talk about the examination pattern. We'll talk about marking scheme. We'll talk about some of the very key important time management tips. One of the most important things in JE actually. And lastly, we'll talk about the most awaited section, that is the drawing part or the tips that are required for drawing. We'll start with what exactly is to be carried. Okay. So first and the foremost thing, please do not carry your application form and all. It's the admit card that's required. So just in case if you don't know, you have to go to the JEE's website, log in, download the admit card. It will be a 4 or 5 page PDF that will be getting, take printout of all the entire pages and take it along with you. So that's the first and the most important thing that you should be taking, followed by which you should have an additional passport size photograph. You should have your original photo ID. It should have your photo. It should be a ID card which has your photo. It has to be the original. I've seen students taking their photostat Aadhaar card as ID proof. They will not permit you. So please don't take any sort of risk. It has to be the original document that's required. Ballpoint pen, stationery, what's required. We'll give you details of what's the stationery that's required and all, and transparent bottle. And in case of your attire or the garments that you're going to wear, please note that in case of your shoes, slippers and all, you do not wear anything that has a very thick sole. There is a good chance of all those things getting removed. Also, do not wear any garment which has large buttons in it, right? So don't take such kind of risks. If you have any religion specific attire which you cannot avoid, please ensure that you reach there at least 1 hour early. Okay. For Max part, BAC Farm has asked to give an idea. We'll touch all of that. We'll be touching all of that in this particular live. Okay. And in case of attire, please ensure that you do not wear any jewelry. Please do not wear any jewelry. Try to keep all of those things in your house itself, because at your home, because just in case you do not have any waiting room, or if the waiting room is not secured and all, it's going to be very risky. So please don't take such kind of risks. Okay. Now, in the admit card, there are certain things that you need to know, that you need to do before you reach the examination hall. First is obviously to take the printout of it. Second is to actually have the self-declaration. So if you look at your admit card on the right-hand side, you can see there is a self-declaration undertaking that's given. That has to be there. And at the box number 2, which is marked number 2, you need to affix your photograph. Okay. And at number 3, you need to give your left hand thumb impression. Okay, so ensure that number 2 and number 3 is completed before you reach there. And you need to give your signature on the day of the examination hall in front of the invigilator. You need to give your signature at box number 4. So that's something that you have to do after you reach the examination hall. So don't touch box number 4. And number 2 and number 3, you need to fill it. In addition to the photograph that you're putting in column number 2, in box number 2, you need to have one more additional photograph that you are taking to the examination hall. So you'll have 2 photographs. One, you'll already paste it in this admit card today or tomorrow. And the second one, you will take it to the examination hall. Okay. So ensure such things. Now, additional things that are to be carried, the same ID proof. Please note the same ID proof that you had used for registration. It could be Aadhaar, it could be PAN card, it could be passport, or you might have done your registration via DigiLocker also. So whatever it is, please take that. to the examination hall, it has to be the original. Please note that it has to be an original ID proof with photograph. Very, very important. There are lots of ID cards that are issued which are without photographs. So please don't take such ID cards. Now, just in case if you have registered without using Aadhaar, you still have an option. Your biometrics has to be registered in the examination center. So how is that done? You have to report at least 1 hour before the exact reporting time. So let's say, for example, your examination is from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Okay. So your reporting time is 30 minutes before that. So it is 2:30 p.m. Your reporting time is going to be 2:30 p.m. So if you are somebody who has registered without using Aadhaar, then you need to reach at least by 1:30. Okay. So give a 15 minutes buffer just in case you miss the auto, train, bus and stuffs like that. So reach by 1:15. Those who are registering via non-Aadhaar, those who have registered via Aadhaar, reach by 2, 2:15 and all. If your examination is at 3 o'clock. Okay. If your examination is in some other slots, that also keeps on varying. So try to ensure that you are reaching before time, at least 45 minutes to 1 hour before time you should reach. Okay. Okay. So Pavni Agrawal has asked a question, sir, architecture aptitude nahi pada hai. So abhi kya important hai jo करके जाएं. Okay. So one of the most important things is actually architecture awareness and non-verbal reasoning. So one of the things that you could do is you could watch the lives that we had conducted. Okay. In the last 1 month, we had conducted Arc Up series actually exclusively for JEE and NATA. So you have lots of previous year questions that are solved. It's one of the easiest things that you can do. It's one of the bare minimum that you can do today, tomorrow, and day after tomorrow, just in case if you have your slot at 6 o'clock. So that's the best thing that you can do. Look into some of the previous year questions. I'll tell you the importance. The most important part is obviously the aptitude part. When it comes to JEE BR, the most important part is the aptitude part, followed by the drawing part, and then by the mathematics part. Okay. Please remember, in sabka jo average hoga, the percentile that you get in aptitude, the percentile that you get in JEE, in mathematics and drawing. Adding all these things together, only you get your final percentile. Okay. So all of these things are important. ഇതിലെല്ലാം important ആണ്. ഏത് സെക്ഷൻ ആണെങ്കിലും important ആണ്. ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ ഏതാണ് important എന്ന് ചോദിക്കുകയാണെങ്കിലാണ് aptitude important ആയിട്ട് വരുന്നത്. The most important section is the aptitude, followed by drawing and mathematics. And a lot of students score brilliantly well towards 99 percentile and all, or 100 percentile. In fact, in ThiNC, we have scored 100 percentile also in case of aptitude. That means everything was correct for that student. Okay. So okay, sir. Navami has asked another question. I'll just take that and then I'll come to the next part of what to carry stationary items. I'll just come to that. Navami has asked a question. Sir, during exams, is it much better to leave the question which we don't know or just guess the answer and click on one of the options? Never guess, never guess, never guess in case of JEE BR because you have negative margins. Do not do that. In fact, that's one of the points that I'll be discussing in the coming slides. Never go for guess in part 1 and part 2. Do not do that. There are 3 parts for JEE. The first part is mathematics. The second part is aptitude. The third part is drawing. Okay, drawing, obviously, there is no guesswork that's going to happen. You can draw, just in case if you don't know also, you should draw something and come out okay. Now, for part 1 and part 2, obviously, there is negative marking. Even in case of numerical questions, there is negative marking. So please ensure that you'll never go for wild guesses. That's going to change drastically your colleges. Okay, just in case you're going to get, let's say, for example, you're going to get SP Bhopal and you put some negative marks, you put some negative marks, you straight away come down to either probably NIT Nagpur. Okay, so never do stuffs like that. Never go for wild guesses. Do not do that. Okay. See, Maxil actually, so there's a question in Malayalam. That's why I'm going to address that. Maxil nalla weak ആണ്. So Maxil weak ആണെങ്കിൽ നമുക്ക് നമ്മുടേതായ ഒരു strategy വേണം. Like, what are the kind of topics that we know? Okay. നമ്മൾക്ക് അറിയാവുന്ന ടോപ്പിക്കിൽ നിന്നെങ്കിലും ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് വന്നിട്ടുണ്ടോ എന്നുള്ളത് ഉറപ്പ് വരുത്തുക. വന്നിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അത് തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും അറ്റംപ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുക. അതിന്റെ കറക്റ്റ് ആൻസർ കിട്ടുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ മാർക്ക് ചെയ്യുക. കിട്ടുന്നില്ലെങ്കിൽ മാർക്ക് ചെയ്യാതിരിക്കുക. ഡു നോട്ട് ഗോ ഫോർ വൈൽഡ് ഗസസ്. ഡു നോട്ട് ഗോ ഫോർ വൈൽഡ് റാൻഡം ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഷോർട്സ് ഒരിക്കലും അടിക്കാവുന്ന ഒരു എക്സാമേ അല്ല നമുക്ക് JEE BR എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞത്. നല്ല രീതിക്ക് നെഗറ്റീവ് മാർക്കിംഗ് ഉണ്ട്. ഓക്കെ, അത് നമുക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നത് കുറച്ചും കൂടി നെഗറ്റീവ് മാർക്ക് ഇല്ല. സാധാരണ ഇതിൽ നാറ്റിലൊന്നും നെഗറ്റീവ് മാർക്ക് ഉണ്ടാവാറില്ല, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇപ്പം NID പോലത്തെ എക്സാംസിനൊന്നും നെഗറ്റീവ് മാർക്ക് ഉണ്ടാവില്ല. അപ്പം obviously we can try that. Okay, so guys, again, no negative marks, no negative marks. We'll have a question paper discussion analysis after the examination. So I hope everyone comes back with full spirit and says that, sir, we did not go for any negative marks, we did not hit any negative marks. Okay, Yes. Moving on, what to carry? Stationery. What are the items that are to be carried? Transparent ball pens, geometry box, pencils, erasers, color pencils, crayons, everything is permitted. What I had told you, I'll also tell you what not to carry. What not to carry? Wet colors are not allowed. Watercolors are not permitted. Do not take them. Okay. The other things like gadgets, see, mobile or smart watches, you're obviously aware of that. You should never take such kind of things. Okay. In fact, if you take it, even if let's say for example if there are no waiting rooms and all, it's going to be very difficult to ensure the safety of that, so do not take such kind of stuffs. Okay, so that is the first thing out of the five things that I had to say, what to carry. Okay, if there are any questions, please do not hesitate to shoot it in the live chat box. എന്ത് തരത്തിലുള്ള ചോദ്യങ്ങൾ ഉണ്ടെങ്കിലും നിങ്ങൾക്ക് live chat box ൽ ഇടാവുന്നതാണ്. Okay, the second thing is examination pattern. I hope by now at least everyone should be aware of what is the examination pattern. I had already said it's three parts: part 1, part 2, part 3. Part 1 is mathematics. There will be 100 marks, 25 questions. Section A will be MCQs, 20 questions, 20 into 4, that is 80 marks. Section B is 5 questions, NATs, numerical answer type questions. 5 into 4, 20 marks, 20 plus 80, Section A and Section B, 100 marks. 100 marks is part 1 mathematics. There is negative marking. Do not go for wild guesses. Part 2, aptitude, 50 questions, 4 marks each, 200 marks. Okay. And part 1 and part 2 combined together would be CBT. That is computer-based test. It will be a computer-based examination, part 1 and part 2. Part 3, you'll obviously be having a drawing test. And because of that, it will be a drawing booklet, A4 size drawing booklet that will be given. Okay. How do you deal with that? How do you answer those questions? How to attempt it? Everything we'll see in the upcoming slides. So part 1 is 100 marks, part 2 is 200, and part 3 100 marks. 2 questions of 100 marks each in drawing part. Combining all of that together, it's 400 marks. Okay. So 400 marks for JEE, and whatever marks you're getting based on that, you'll get a percentile. And then after the second session in April, you'll get a rank. That's how the whole scenario of JEE BR works. Okay. The third thing is the marking scheme. So this is where negative marks comes up. So, okay. So the reason why I was telling Navami to never attempt anything that you're not sure about. Part 1 and part 2 MCQs and NATs. For correct answers, you'll get you'll get +4, but for each wrong answer, you'll get -1. Okay. Even if you have marked something unanswered or marked for review, there is an option in CBTs, you'll get, yeah, you are marking it for review. It will not be evaluated. If you're marking it for review, it will not be evaluated. Okay. So for aptitude, now he's asking another question. So for aptitude also, we are not allowed to guess and click on any random options, right? No random clickings. No random clickings in part 1 and part 2. Okay. Aptitude, mathematics, no random clickings. Aptitude, you will have mainly 2 questions: architecture awareness and non-verbal reasoning. And maybe they might come up with some general knowledge questions also related to architecture or anything of that sort, but no guesses. Absolutely no guesses, please. Now, NAT is the numerical answer type questions. You have to round it off to the nearest integer. Okay. So please ensure that you round them off. Like, let's say, for example, if it's 43.1, the answer that you have to put in is 43. Okay. Now, I would suggest never to skip the mathematics part completely. Okay. You should know at least, I'm assuming that you know at least some of the chapters, okay, which are relatively easier. So most of the students, what they do is they might feel like max is very tough. So let me leave it completely. And I will not even open that max section. Never do that. What if there is a very easy question that's come directly from any of the textbooks or any of the guides or any of the questions that we have practiced? And what if you know the answer? So never do anything of that sort. Never think that you're not going to get any of the questions. Maybe one, you never know. You might be lucky enough. So go through it completely. If just scribble down or at least try to solve the topics that you know, but do not take too much of time. If you're not able to reach anywhere, don't spend too much of time. Don't take questions to your ego. Means you should not feel like I've studied this topic so much, so I have to answer it. No, there is no extra weightage for certain topics. Each question is 4 marks only. Okay. Don't wild guess. I've already told that part 1 and part 2, there are negative marks. And always try to score the maximum in terms of aptitude. Okay, aptitude is the area wherein you will be able to score. You'll have higher weightage in your percentile, increasing your percentile. Shiva Mithika has asked a question, sir, can you give some important chapters to concentrate in math? See, I would never tell you, because the chapters in which I am good at or easy might not be the same for you. Okay, this is ultimately a competitive exam. Okay, all questions carry equal weightage. So I would suggest you see, even if you're solving a problem of coordinate geometry or probability or differentiation or integration, what difference does that make? If you get one question of probability and if your friend gets one question of probability, it's again 4 marks. So it does not matter which chapter uh, is something that you have to look into is not important. What's more important is which one is it that you are confident about. So go with that. That's what I would suggest. Okay. Do we need to take the writing pad? You can take a transparent writing pad, Irene. Okay. So remember my point, always try to score maximum, the highest amount of increase or weightage you can see in terms of aptitude, in terms of your final ranking. Okay, the next important is drawing, and the third important is mathematics. Okay, so to everyone who is preparing for JEE BArch, you would obviously be looking into session 2 in the April and also the NATA entrance exams, right? So we have coaching for both NATA and JEE BArch. We have new batches starting right after JEE's session 1, that is 30th of January. We have batches in February and March. We have NATA only batches. We have NATA plus JEE batches. We have JEE only batches. We have online and offline batches also. Okay. So anyone who is interested to know further details about it, those who are currently in 12th, those who have completed 12th, those who are the repeaters batch, those who are the regular batch, those who have dropped out and all, you can obviously join. You can contact us at 808611 044. Butter Angel, Angel or Angle. I'm not sure, but still, I had already addressed that point. Color pencils and crayons is permitted, but you cannot use wet colors or watercolors. Okay. So I think the marking scheme also is completed. The next thing is time management tips. Very, very important. Very, very important. Okay. Please use a timer from now on, even just in case if you haven't used timer and try to solve questions, at least from now on, use timers. Even if you're solving one drawing question today, keep a timer. Based on the question, probably it might be 20 minutes, 30 minutes that you might get. If in the examination hall for a composition question, you're giving 40 minutes, reduce it to 30 minutes when you're practicing, so that if you can cover that up in 30 minutes while you're practicing today or tomorrow in the examination hall, when you get 40 minutes, you'll be able to do it. So timer is very, very important. Okay. We would always suggest at THiNC Institute, we always suggest students to start with non-verbal reasoning because you need some certain degree of clarity, and it's also very easy to solve non-verbal reasoning. Okay. You need to visualize the problems, the front view, the top view, and all. You need to visualize and you need to come up with with clearer answers. Okay. So in fresh mind, it's always ideal to start with non-verbal reasoning. Now, based on your stronger areas, you start with, I would always suggest you guys to start with stronger areas. I always go in all the competitive exams that I have gone. If I had the choice of selecting which question I could write, I always go for the one that I'm most confident about. Usually what I do is I go through the entire question paper once and attempt all the questions that are easy. Then I do the ones that are medium. Then I do the ones that are hard. The logic behind this is very simple. Your creative confidence increases when you do the easier ones. Then the medium ones become a bit more easier because your confidence is up. Then you solve the medium questions. Then you go behind the harder ones. Okay. But again, as I said earlier, no guessworks. So identify your strong areas. Okay. Then be clear about the math section, the mathematics part, which are the areas that you're good at. And you should try all the questions. At least you should try to solve them, those that you're good at. And you should try to figure out the answers in that. And if you know the answers, well and great, that's great. Okay. Even if you haven't prepared, that's great. Okay. Now, blank sheets would be provided for you guys. Blank sheets would be provided. And for rough work, that will be provided from there. And in the drawing question, I've seen a lot of students actually giving. See, there are two questions, right? So what usually happens is you'll be like, okay, I'll give 30 questions, 30 minutes for first question and 30 minutes for second question. Or I'll give 45 minutes for first question and 45 minutes for second question. No, it doesn't work like that. It's based on the type of the drawing question that you actually have to allocate time. Okay. One of them might be a bit more tougher. So you'll have to give probably 40 minutes for that question. One of them might be a bit more easier. You might be able to give 25 minutes for that. So it depends upon the amount of detailing that is demanded by the question paper. Okay. So always ensure that don't go with a preconceived notion. I would say of all the 5 points that I have covered, time management is the most important part. Okay, so if you have studied superbly well and you're bloody confident about the exam and you're going to crack it with ultimate confidence, is you're walking in and your time management goes wrong, everything goes wrong. So that should not happen. Your time management would be top notch. Okay, the last and the final point that I'm going to the last and the final point that I'm going to talk about is the drawing tips. Okay, I have another question from Naomi. While doing the THiNC JEE mock test, I wasn't able to do any maths questions. I even referred to past year question paper and still I couldn't do any math questions. See, the best thing, as I said earlier, the best thing that I could do is I'll suggest is see, things mock question papers are always tougher. Okay, they're always kept at a higher levels. Try to solve those questions. Try to solve the ones that you have already solved. Don't try to solve new questions and new topics in the next 1 or 2 days or 1.5 days. Okay, so go behind the stuff that you're already confident about in mathematics and see whether there are any questions that are coming up for the exam. Okay, I would not suggest you to take up any new topics and risk the entire equilibrium that you have already set. Okay. And let's come to the drawing part, the final part of this particular PPT. So read the questions very, very clearly, and you have to underline the keywords. It's the most important thing I would say in case of drawing questions. I've heard after the question paper analysis of NID and UCD, and lots of students have commented, lots of students have called up and said, like, I missed the keyword. I did not, and I answered it correctly, but I missed the keyword and I did it in a different way. In that case, your answer is actually wrong. So don't go in such ways. You have to comfortably, peacefully read the question, underlining the keywords. Okay, it might be a composition question. They might be asking you to do a rhythmic composition or dynamic or whatever it is. Whatever is the detailing that is given in the question paper, that has to be underlined, and you should be absolutely sure about the fact that you are drawing that solution. Okay, be it the specifications that they have provided in terms of shapes or colors or anything of that sort. So this is probably the most important thing that you need to take care in case of drawing. You have to avoid such kind of carelessness, because it cannot be like I've prepared so much and just because of my carelessness or one word I left, I could not do it completely. I was talking to one of the students from the examination hall when I saw the other day, and they said, like, I did not see the option number 2 question and I left it completely. Guys, it cannot happen. It should not happen. You have to have absolute presence of mind when you're writing the examination, when you're in the examination hall. Okay. And present it very neatly. Visually, it has to be appealing. You need to use all the available space that is there neatly and avoid negative spaces. Okay. So these are the 5 things that I had to talk about. I hope I have, you can carry a transparent writing pad and scale. Yes, you can carry. So if there are any okay, Darshan has asked a question. What possibly could be the score of people getting 99 percentile according to previous years? I would never suggest to go behind that because it keeps on varying from one year to another. Plus, it is the session number 1 that you're going to write. Okay, you have another session also, session number 2. Okay, I'll tell you one thing. Mostly, it's the students who perform well in session number 1 who get very high ranks. Okay, it may vary. I'm not sure. I'm not saying that's how it's going to happen this year also, but I would still suggest I would still suggest you guys to, go full throttle and try to score as much as possible. Okay. So these are the major things that I had to talk about. Okay. So at THiNC Institute, we have our new batches that are coming up, crash batches and all that are coming up. And if you still have any questions, queries, and all related to admissions or JEE-BArch paper or anything of that sort, you can DM us at Instagram also at THiNC Institute. Okay. Okay. BACFARM has asked a question. If we skip max part, will it reduce the percentile? It will reduce the percentile that you get in mathematics, which in turn will reduce the percentile that you get overall. Okay. Even if you get a few questions correctly in mathematics, it will, and if you don't go for negative marking in both part 1 and part 2, you have a substantial chance of scoring high, provided your drawing is decently done. Okay. So that's a very important thing that is to be ensured. Okay. So I think that's it. These are the major things that I had to talk about. So guys, be in a very good equilibrium state for the next 1.5 days. Practice things that you have already done. If you're practicing questions, please keep a timer. Be absolutely confident. Time management is some of the most important things. Don't try to study something that's new. Try to revise the things that you have already done. Okay. And try to ensure that you have good scoring in session number 1 itself. How much weightage is there for? I did not understand the first part. And architecture awareness. Oh, GK and architecture awareness. Okay. So in case of architecture awareness, out of the 50 questions, so usually there are 30 to 35 questions that usually 30 questions that usually comes from the nonverbal reasoning, and the rest 20 questions that comes from architecture awareness. Inside that, there might be few questions that will be coming from general knowledge. Okay. Pavni Agrawal has asked, what should we do now for mathematics so that 2 or 3 questions can be done? So two things that I said earlier. One is to ensure that you guys can look into the topics that you're already sure about or already confident about or have already studied. Okay, do not go for new topics. Okay. The second thing that you could actually do is to watch the previous lives that we had done under the Arc Up series. We have had some YouTube lives on mathematics and previous year question solving and all. Okay. So you could go through both of those things. That's the least that you guys can do. Okay. So I guess that's it. If there are any further questions, you can DM us at THiNC Institute in Instagram, or you can also put it below this particular video if there are any questions, comments, and all. At THiNC Institute, we hope that you have the bestest of the bestest JEE BArch session 1 and you get into the premium SPAs and NITs of this country. Okay. Until we see in the next session, everyone, this is Suraj and THiNC Institute of Design signing off. Thank you.